Hey everyone, it's Nikki. Welcome if you're new here and welcome back if you're returning. I have 5 DIYs for you today, all under $5. This challenge is hosted every month by Emily from Farm Charm Chic, and I have the privilege of being the guest host this month, and I am super excited to be a part of it. So thank you, Emily, for having me. This is also part of a playlist. It's always a big hit every month. There are so many talented creators who join in, so be sure to check out the playlist in the description box and see all the beautiful projects. All right, let's jump right in. Dollar Tree has a lot of different sized wood, so I got this one. It's about 12 inches by 5 inches, and these wooden trim pieces I get on Amazon, and I'm using my miter scissors to make a frame around this. I'm not going to worry about mitering the corners. I'm just going to cut it to fit. These trim pieces come with a lot. I've had these in my stash for a few years, so they really go a long way. And if you want to recreate this, just use whatever you already have on hand. You can even substitute the wood for cardboard. I do that a lot in my projects and it works great. I'm cutting 2 pieces for the sides and then another 2 smaller pieces for the top and the bottom to match. I'm running a bead of hot glue along the edge. This is Gorilla Hot Glue and it works perfectly for just about anything, but I especially love it on wood because it gives such a strong bond, and once it's in place, it typically doesn't go anywhere. This project only took me about 25 minutes, 30 minutes or so to put together. So not only is it inexpensive, but it's super fast. And if you have an embossing gun, that really helps so much to speed up your project so you can keep working. Sometimes I wonder what I would do if I didn't have mine. If you don't have an embossing gun, I'll try to link the one that I have down below. I don't think I spent very much on it. I've had it for such a long time, I have to look. But it's just something that I feel like everyone should have in their creative arsenal. So once I have everything all framed in, I'm taking these corner pieces that I got on Temu quite a while ago, and I'm using some hot glue to adhere them. They look gorgeous on anything that you want to frame out. And then I use some burnt umber and a baby wipe to create a stain, but the corner pieces were in the way, and so I ended up taking them off, and luckily that was like so easy because I ended up like spritzing some water to help move that paint around, and because they got so wet, they easily popped right off. And so I got them off, I just used my fan brush and my baby wipe to finish blending that paint in. I used my embossing gun to speed up the drying process, and then I used some Aleene's tacky glue and just a dab of hot glue to hold the corners into place until the Aleene's dries. Then I'm going to take this piece of birch wood I got at Hobby Lobby. It was 40% off, $7.99, and it was a huge roll. This is going to last me for years to come. This is going to look like a tree, and for that I'm using these greenery picks that I got at Goodwill, and they've been on my table. If you've been watching for a while, they're in the backdrop. You can see a piece off there to the side. I love this stuff. It has a flat backing and it makes adhering them so easy, and just they set on my table nicely. They don't move around. But I'm going to arrange the greenery so it looks like a tree. And this is going to be great for, winter. I can leave it up all the way through from Christmas to spring. And if you like rustic decor, it can even stay out year round. If you don't have any of this stuff on hand, you could also make it out of cardboard. Go out in the backyard and grab some sticks. And if you have any greenery this time of year, it would look cute alone with just sticks. If you look on Pinterest, there's a lot of primitive ideas that you can use. There's just a bunch of ways that you could make this even cheaper. So I'm just gluing this as I go and doing my best to kind of make my sides match one another. And I want this to be nice and full. So once I have everything put in place, I'm going to then just fill in all those blank areas. While I'm arranging my tree, I just want to say hello and thank you for being here today. If you're new, I hope you're enjoying this video so far, and I'd love for you to subscribe and join our little YouTube family. You know, I can't believe that we're almost done with Christmas DIYs already. It seems to me like it's barely begun, and I have so many projects that I haven't even started yet, and I know I'm not going to have time for this year. And some of those projects I had sitting last year that, I wasn't able to get to. And it just makes me so sad that there's just never enough time. And, honestly, for me, the hardest part is the voiceovers explaining, telling you what I'm doing. And, if I could just speed that part up, I could get so much more done, but it's just one of those things that I struggle with, and I don't see that changing. Let me know, are you still wanting Christmas DIYs, or are you looking forward to winter, spring DIYs? But that is it for this one. I think it came out so cute, and as I said, it was very easy and inexpensive to put together. Let me know what you think of this one. All right, on to our second project. I found this beautiful fabric while thrifting, and I folded it inside out, and I'm going to freehand 3 triangles, and they're all going to be different sizes. So I'm going to start with this large one, make a medium size one, and then a small one. And then I'm going to cut them out with my sewing shears. And then once I have all 3 of them cut out, I'm going to begin to glue them using some hot glue. So just running a bead of glue along the sides, just trying to get it nice and neat. And if you recreate this, just make sure to take your time on this step and make sure that you get your seam nice and neat and glued down nicely. Once I get to the bottom, I'm going to take some polyfill. This I thrifted from Goodwill and for like $2 for a big bag. You could also use an old pillow. And then I'm going to glue the bottom, leaving just a small 1-inch gap. And then I got these, they're like frosted sticks from Hobby Lobby. And that's what I'm going to use in the center for my trunk. I'm going to put these way up inside my tree and then just glue it off around the stick. I want to make sure that these stand up nicely. And you get a big bundle of those sticks too. And then so these stand up. I'm using these tumbling tower blocks, and you can see here I'm just adding a dite of hot glue on each side and then just adhering them to the bottom. This bowl I got while thrifting. I paid $2 for it. And as you can see, I'm adding just a bit of hot glue to the bottom of my trees, just enough so they stand, but not so much that I won't be able to remove them and do something else with this. Added some Spanish moss and some greenery and pine cones and some orange slices that I dried last year. They've kept rather nicely. And that is it for this project. I absolutely love it, and it was really inexpensive to make, and it would be even more cheaper if you just shop what the good Lord gave us outside. Let me know what you think of this DIY. All right, on to project number 3. I got this triangle. It's actually a frame from the Dollar Tree a few years ago, And I had taken some paint stir sticks and made that design in it, and I'm not entirely sure what I was going to do with it. That's probably why it's been sitting in my stash. And the wooden piece is the same wooden piece that we used in the first project. I painted them with Sweet Pickins milk paint in the color basil. So I'm going to start by sanding it down a little bit. And I knew what I wanted to make with it, but I wasn't entirely sure what direction it was going to go in. So I sanded it down a bit, and then I sealed everything in with some Paint Couture's Extreme Guard in satin. And I'm gluing the triangle onto the rectangle with some hot glue. Let me know in the comments, do you start projects and then don't finish them and they sit in your stash for a long time? Because I have a lot of projects like that that just sit there, and I look at them and that's about it. All they do is just sit there until one day, like this day, I do something with them. So these picks can be found at Hobby Lobby. I think they're like $1.99, maybe $2.99, 40% off. And I'm going to glue a total of 4 of them onto my triangle. I'm going to try my best to get them nice and straight. I like this project. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite one, but I do like it. I'm going to speed a lot of this up. You can see what I'm doing. I just, I'm very mindful about your time. Now I'm going to get into decorating it. This lantern has been in my stash, as well as these fairy lights. I'm pushing a few of the lights up into the lantern so that way when I turn it on, it looks lit. Then I'm going to glue down some trees, and I'm going to add this pine pick to the background. There's a lot of green and white in this, so adding different textures and shades really adds some depth to this piece. Then I'm going to glue down my deer, which pairs nicely with the white tree. And then glue my lantern and just arrange my lights. And then I'm going to glue the battery pack right onto the back. Off camera, I glued down the bench, and I'm going to add some snow text to give this a nice wintry scene. And there's not a lot to this project, but it's pretty. And it definitely gives that woodland theme and will be great all the way through spring. I think it adds a nice ambiance too. What do you think of this one? I think it came out really pretty, and I just love how it lights up at night. All right, on to project number 4. I'm taking more of that beautiful fabric and my fabric marker, and I'm going to freehand a tree. Nothing fancy. And that's the beauty of crafting. Not everything has to look perfect to be pretty, right? And then once I get this one cut out, I'm going to use this as a template to draw 4 more and then cut those out. All right, now that they're all cut out, I'm going to line them up, try to get them lined up as perfectly as I can, and run a bead of hot glue along the sides. Just taking my time on this, doing it in sections, just to make sure that everything lines up nice and tidy. And then once I get to the bottom, I'm just going to trim up a few areas where the seams didn't quite meet. Then I add just a little bit of stuffing. I don't want these to be big and puffy because the shape is a bit too narrow to get into all the corners. So a little bit works perfectly with these. Then I'm taking more of those sticks that we used earlier and using these as trunks as well. So I'm going to cut them to about, I don't know, 1.5 inches maybe. And I'm going to cut 5 of them and glue them into each tree. I love how frosty and sparkly these sticks are. They're just so pretty for winter. Next, I'm taking this twine and I'm going to use a ruler to separate them evenly, about 5 inches apart, and adding a little bit of glue directly to the twine and then setting each tree into it and repeating those steps for all 5. And I'm sure you can tell this is a garland. Then I'm going to tie a loop at each end for hanging. And then I'm going to flip them over and just make sure that there's glue that goes all the way to the sides. And that's it for this garland. I think it's super cute and it didn't take long at all and it was a lot of fun to make. What do you think of this one? All right, on to project number 5. This blanket I got at the Family Dollar and I've used it for so many things. I've actually had it for a few years, and these styrofoam trees came from Amazon in like a big box. I can't remember how much I paid for them, but they were inexpensive for as many as I got. I'm cutting the fabric to fit the tree, and the easiest way is to set the tree on the fabric, roll it, and cut as you go, as you saw. And I'm using hot glue to adhere the fabric to the styrofoam and trimming as I go, fluffing the fabric and bringing it all the way to the bottom with a good amount of hot glue to secure it. And I did it to all 3 of my trees. And I'm using 3 different size trees like I did earlier. And I don't know if you noticed when we started that I'm using the back side of the fabric. I don't know, I just like the looks of this better, and I use this a lot when I'm making my snowmen, and I do the same thing. I use the inside rather than the outside of the fabric. I just love how fluffy it is. Just taking my time, making sure I get everything glued and fluffed up real nice. And then I'm taking more of those sticks, and these wood rounds I got at Goodwill, and we're going to use those. We're not going to use that platter that's at the bottom, but I'm using my awl tool and just poking a hole in the bottom of the styrofoam and then shoving the stick up in there and gluing those sticks right to the bottom of these wood rounds. And this takes a minute. You have to really hold them there for a minute. And I realized I got my sticks a little bit too long, and I'm glad that I didn't glue them into the styrofoam because I end up taking my trees off and shortening my sticks. And this is just such a pretty project. This is something that I would keep up all year. And I kind of wish I made this earlier because I'm leaving this up all winter long. I needed to go in and then with some more hot glue and fix the bottom of my tree and then just set that down onto the stick. I think these are so pretty. I love the color white during Christmas. Well, is white actually a color? It's not really a color, is it? You can see where a little kid scribbled on the bottom. I don't know if you caught that on the bottom of that last wood round. I trimmed them down a good inch, inch and a half. And that is it for this. I added some pine picks, pine cones, that cute little owl I got 40% off at Hobby Lobby, and I added a little cinnamon stick to one of them. I love these. These are my absolute favorite project out of all of them. What do you think of these? And here's a quick recap of everything that we made today. I really hope that you enjoyed watching, and we'll check out the rest of the playlist. And remember, you don't have to go out and buy everything that I used today. All of this was already in my stash. You know, the fun thing about Woodland DIYs is that you can use things from nature. You can go out and cut your own sticks, or for the trees, you can use real pine. For the fabric trees, you could use an old shirt, a blanket, a tablecloth, anything. Be creative. If you don't have stuffing, see if you have an old pillow that you can repurpose. I hope I gave you some inspiration today. I'm working hard towards my goal of 2,000 subscribers by Christmas. And even though that milestone is a bit of a stretch, your subscription still means so much to me. Thank you for spending time with me today. Until the next one, bye.